It was clear that Bedge had wanted to press flowers to get the topic off of him and what he had been up to as a student, but Melodia found that she could still show me how to press flowers and still get me to embarrass Bedge at the same time. I could read between the lines that Melodia wanted to keep what we discussed a secret, and so I tried not to act any differently around him. We actually press flowers late into the afternoon until the sun is starting to set, and she and Bedge head off to get ready for the gala. Bedge shows me to my room first to give me time to freshen up before the party. I have to admit that I'm more than just a little nervous, especially since the last time I was at a party this big, I was the subject of an inquisition by nameless parents of Iris Academy students. They had been people of influence within their own social circle, but who were the people I was going to be socializing with tonight? Viscounts? Earls? Barons? Dukes? And would Hieronymous be there? I didn't have my magical letterbox, so I wasn't quite sure how I could reach him. Although the magical community didn't like to rely on technology, I'd give just about anything for a cell phone so we could check in on each other long distance. Then again, we were in the mantle. Although it wasn't technically in the other world, I remember that they had told me last year that technology wouldn't work here either, since it was still a magical realm. Eventually, Bedge comes to collect me for the party. "You can stay with me tonight, if you'd like," Bedge tells me. "You're being introduced as my guest of honor, so it's not too weird. People know you're Lady Grabiner. Otherwise, there might be a scandal brewing if people thought my parents arranged for us to be married." Huh, yeah, that'd be a hoot, I say, but my laughter sounds way too forced. "A hoot?" Bedge asks. "The sound that owls make? Or is this another American expression I'm unfamiliar with?" "It means a laugh," I tell him. Part of me wants to ask him if it would be so terrible to be married to me, but I can't ask that. It would only make things awkward, even as a joke. I was married to Hieronymous. I loved Hieronymous, and what was more, I saw Bedge as a brother. It was interesting that I had essentially been given the offer to be a princess, and later a queen, one day, but it was nothing I ever aspired to. "So what did my mom ask you when she sent me to the greenhouse?" he asks at length. "You both were talking about me, weren't you?" "I don't know," I reply with a shrug. "But if we were, I guess you just have to trust me not to have said anything to embarrass you." "One can only hope," Bedge replies with a roll of his eyes. "By the way, you are good with stairs, right?" "What?" I ask blankly. Suddenly, a set of double doors open and Bedge pulls me forward to reveal that we are standing on the landing on a really long staircase. An elderly man standing next to the door introduces Bedge and a long list of titles which dwarf the "and his companion, Lady Tori Brown-Grabiner, 17th Viscountess Montague of the Shade of Shetlock," which seemed diminutive by comparison. We head down the stairs, and somehow I managed not to slip, even with the edges of the gown flowing around my feet. "You didn't trip," Bedge observes as we get to the bottom of the stairs. "I guess that means you're real nobility now." "Oh, so I passed the test?" I ask. "Goody for me. So, what exactly do we do now? I take it this isn't anything like the Mayday Ball." "We can dance, if you'd like," he says. "We can get a drink. I can introduce you to people." "And there's absolutely no chance that I can just sort of hide out and sulk along the back wall like Hieronymous would?" I ask, and Bedge laughs. "Come on," Bedge taunts. "What happened to the Tory who was ready to do whatever she wanted without care for the consequences?" "She grew up," I remind him. "She realized how bad consequences can be and decided she didn't want to put herself in a position where she had to deal with them anymore." "We should dance then," Bez says as he pulls me onto a tiled floor in the middle of the room. He puts his hands on my waist and on my shoulder, and I can't help but relax into him as I follow his lead. Good thing Miss Minchin taught me how to dance, I tell him. Was this what it was like at the May Day ball? Not at all, Bez replies with a laugh. No one knew how to dance there. I think that we all would have been better off if they had kept the lighting as dim as it was the night of the dark dance. That was a fun night, I recall, thinking back. I'm sure, Bez replies as he shoots me a look, and I can't help but roll my eyes and grin, biting my lip as I shake my head. So, looking back, what was your favorite thing about attending school in America? I ask him. What pops into your head first? Weirdly enough, the summer before I started, he replies automatically. Eating that massive ice cream sundae with you and Virginia in the food court. Studying in the library with Ellen and Minnie. Practicing inscription spells in the dungeon with you. I was worried about making a fool of myself, but you helped me feel welcome very quickly. I hope I can do the same for you here. Well, I think you're doing a good job of it, I reply. I notice the couples around us have stopped dancing, and we look up as Bez's parents are introduced in the same way that Bez was. Their long list of titles seems to last minutes, and everyone resumes dancing once they finish descending the stairs. Are they going to do that for everyone, or just you guys, since you're the hosts? I ask him. Just us, he replies. I don't think they'll bother me tonight, but if they do, just remember to curtsy as soon as they address you. Duly noted, I reply. What other rules of decorum do you have to teach me, O wise one? If I can think of any, I'll be sure to let you know, he replies. The best advice I can give you is to learn by example. Watch what others are doing and imitate it. That's what I did as a kid. I would tell you to make sure that you don't associate yourself with the wrong people, but you shouldn't have to worry about that too much here. That's good to know, I say, because I don't really know anyone here. Hieronymous has never introduced me to anyone. The only people I know are his father and the people I've met at Miss Minchin's. None of them would be here tonight, would they? Probably not, he replies. There aren't many single girls here. There aren't actually a lot of eligible single girls at all. My parents have been looking for someone to marry me off to, but so far their search has come up empty. Well, it's hard to find anyone who would be good enough for their precious Bez, I tease him. I mean, if worse comes to worse, they could always just have you marry Virginia. Bez can't hide the look of horror on his face. Oh no, she's way too intense for me. No, they'd want me to marry someone like Minnie, but, you know, not American. I can't help but wrinkle up my nose. What's wrong with being American? There's no nobility there, he replies. They want me to marry someone from a good background. I just hope she's nice, whoever she is. And pretty, I tease him, and Bez just rolls his eyes. Yes, that would help, Bez replies. He looks like he's about to say more when suddenly he stops, looking at someone over my shoulder. May I cut in? Hieronymous asks as he offers me his hand, and suddenly it feels like all the oxygen in my lungs has been sucked straight out of my chest. His hair had been brushed and slicked back, and he was wearing black formal robes emblazoned with gold trim that was much more tight-fitting than the robes that he usually wore. Don't make this a repeat of the dark dance, Bez whispers to me as he moves away, and I can't help but blush as I take Hieronymus's hand. He pulls me into him immediately, his hand moving to the small of my back as he moves me closer to him. Tori, you're blushing, he whispers in my ear, but I'm pretty sure that only makes me blush harder. I really, really, really want to kiss you right now, I tell him. You look really good. I'm glad you think so, Hieronymous replies, because apparently everyone wants to dance with the beautiful blue-haired girl hanging off Bez's arm. I can't help but flush. Wait, me? What do you mean? No one else has asked to dance with me. Because you were with Beige, he replies simply. Do you know how rude it would be to interrupt the prince? I quirk up an eyebrow. But you did it. Because you're mine, he replies, and I can't help the way my insides flush with need. I was letting him borrow you until my arrival, but now that I'm here, do you think I can go more than a minute without you beside me? I hope not, I reply with a mischievous grin. So, has our Christmas break officially started? I know mine was supposed to start this afternoon, but your father abducted me literally as I was walking to class this morning. I spent the day with Beige and his mother. Oh, Hieronymous asks, but he doesn't seem all that surprised. And how was that? Fun, I reply, immediately knowing that now was not the time to mention what Beige's mother had told me. If I was going to tell him at all. I didn't want to start keeping secrets from him again, but I already knew how insecure Hieronymous could be, and I didn't think he'd be happy to hear that his mother wanted me to be married to her son instead of him. She named a genus of flower after me, I tell him. Tori blossoms. They're the color of my hair, and they change color in the sunlight. You are truly making something of yourself, aren't you? Hieronymous asks. I can't wait until you graduate and we can travel the world together, Tori. Every day, I feel as though I am merely counting the minutes until I can spend the rest of my life with you. Good thing I want the same thing, I say as I beam at him. Has the viscounting been easier now that you're talking to your father again? Well, Hieronymous starts, but immediately stops when Solomon and Melodia come up beside us. Your Grace, I say immediately as I perform a low curtsy, and Hieronymous does a small bow. Lord Grabiner, Lady Grabiner, Solomon says as he nods to each of us in turn. How are you enjoying the festivities? Beige warned us that you didn't dance, Tori, but you seem to be quite the talent. All the credit goes to Miss Minchin, Your Grace, I reply. She made sure to prioritize social graces as part of our education. Yes, he says as he turns to Hieronymous. And how are you faring, Hieronymous? You two look quite taken with one another. It's all anyone is talking about. Hieronymous stiffens a bit. I already knew that he didn't like to be the center of attention, but it was more than that. The gossip mill had been churning with rumors about him for decades, and he didn't want to be the subject of any more of them. It's Tori, he says at length. No one would throw a second glance in our direction if she wasn't as beautiful as she is. I can't help but flush, absolutely crimson, my face going parallel to the floor. For some reason, I think back to when I had first seen him again after my first summer away, when he acted like he couldn't have cared less about pursuing our relationship. How had so much changed in just a few short years? You two make an amazing couple, Melodia says, although she's looking directly at me. We will leave you to your affairs. I do another small curtsy as they head off, and Hieronymous wraps his arms around me again as we go back to dancing. What was that about? Hieronymous asks. I know a coded message when I see one. It's nothing, I say with a shrug, immediately wincing. I keep shrugging. You need to start calling me out on it. Ladies aren't supposed to shrug. Oh, are you a lady now? Hieronymous muses. Pray, tell me, what exactly makes one a lady? This is surprisingly reminiscent of my first exam at Miss Minchin's, I tease him. Good social graces, for one. Never speaking out of turn. Chewing with your mouth closed. Being super polite all the time. Looking pretty, but not so pretty that you stand out. Oh, and having a good husband. I think I'm scoring top marks in that category. One can only hope, Hieronymous murmurs under his breath, running his hands down the sides of my body. One of his hands grazes my butt, and I can't help but flush. Are you really teasing me? Here? In full view of everyone? I ask. This place has dozens of rooms. I'm sure we could... Hieronymous. Hieronymous literally rolls his eyes as Aloysius comes up beside us. Lord Grabiner, I say, trying not to sound as annoyed as I feel. I'm sorry, but now is a really bad time. Oh, is it? He asks, without looking at me. Before you two start doing anything that would invite comment on our reputation, I think I should remind you that there are some people I would like you to meet. Does it have to be now? Hieronymous asks, and Aloysius nods. It's okay, I say brightly. We'll meet who he wants you to meet, and then when we're done... You should stay here and keep Bej company, Aloysius replies. I will return Hieronymous to you shortly. I can't help but scowl. Now, Tori, didn't Miss Minchin teach you that it's unflattering for a lady to pout? That was it. Despite our bonding before, Aloysius was definitely off my nice list. Hieronymous is his own person, I tell him testily. He doesn't have to go anywhere with you if he doesn't want to. Hieronymous just sighs. I won't be long, Tori. Aloysius shoots a triumphant smirk in my direction as he leads Hieronymous away, leaving me standing alone on the dance floor.